well, I know B has experience with it, but otherwise, anybody done private lending? Utilized it rather? No? All right, so basically, private lending at its core is investors, like if, for example, any of. All right, Brianna, she's yelling at me to put my camera on. Let me fix myself and put my shirt on.
That's way too much information.
JK, I already had it on. Uh, You telling me to hold on?
No, I think that was Joe Del Sesto just yelling at the person in the parking lot.
Okay, all right. Well, anyways, it's people like anybody like you and me who have, cash to invest. And they go through us and they ultimately the investor pays, it turns out it's a much higher interest rate than they would be able to get on the open market, but mainly because this is a riskier endeavor. It's for investors in keywords, non-owner occupants. So obviously nobody that can live in it, but it's mainly, we have, the investors we have now do new construction and the requirements for that are a little bit different, which I'll break into as well. New construction, people buying portfolios of multifamilies. Another client we have sometimes just comes to us with a portfolio of 15 he wants to buy. And the thing is, they get into them for a little bit cheaper than they would portfolio loans at a typical bank. It's about 10% down, plus some points. I'll break into that as well. And again, key phrase, non-owner occupied, can't live in it. So essentially, at its core, it's a mortgage. All right, it gets recorded as such, all the same caveats, except points come into play. Does everybody know what a point is? Yes, no? All right, a point
It's like
is one.
1% of the whole
Right, yeah,
purchase price.
yeah. So, it's pretty universal across the other private lenders as well, but we do 10% down and 4 points up front. Now, the points, sorry, I'm just going by my outline here. 10% down and 4 points, and the investor who's loaning the cash out gets 2, and private lender gets 2. By the way, if any of you have further questions about this down the road, I'll give my cell phone number out at the end, if you don't already have it. But again, it's a mortgage, so they file an application through private lender, us, and that application has them list out their assets, their cash on hand, etc. And they come to us with a proposal, including the proposed budget and the total of the repairs they intend to do, a rough dollar amount, after which we come to inspect the property to verify everything and issue a pre-approval. Now, by the way, if anybody wants to stop me at any point to ask me questions, please do, because I don't feel that this is going to go much longer than maybe a half hour.
Joe,
Yeah.
I got a couple of things. So I got cut off at the beginning of the call, but did you explain that you guys are offering this service now, as you have taken over like Jeff Hamilton's he was a private lender company, and so people who are interested in, or who have clients who are interested in doing, OPM, which is other people's money or private lending, can come right to you or Joe Senior and say, hey, we got somebody who might need this money, and you can do that right through the office. I mean, not through the office.
Yes, they have to file an application like a typical mortgage, with Janine, who's out unfortunately with COVID right now, but anyways, you file an application with her. Like I said, the application makes them list out their assets, cash on hand, etc. And just so we can give the lending investor a fair amount of confidence that, they're getting into a good investment. again, going back where I was.
Hey,
they come with
Joe.
Yeah,
Sorry, it's Paula. Hi. So do you inspect the property, were you saying before you lend the money?
we do. Yep.
Okay,
So
so
when
with the
they-
turnaround times these days, like everything goes under contract in a day, are you guys able to get out there that quickly?
Yes. Yep. In
Okay.
most cases, yes. I mean, within reason, give us a couple hours notice, but, it, it's a relatively quick process. It's not, upfront, the cash can come relatively quickly, especially like if somebody's making cash offer on a multifamily, which we know is insane right now. We can move pretty quick with that. We just have to take a ride out, take a look at the property.
Keep in
Um,
mind, Paula, and maybe B can kick in on this. And, I know that a lot of times people use this money and they go into an offer situation and say this is a cash offer, all right? B, I don't know if B's still here. I think she is.
I
Um,
am.
B, so, I mean, there's been different, opinions on this, that it's still a financed loan and it's
Correct.
still subject to a different type of underwriting, but it's not really a cash loan, which a lot of people seem to use it as.
I always put in there in the additional provisions that it's subject to hard money lender approval and funding.
Okay,
But the point is, it doesn't take 30 days to close. You can close in short time,
Right.
a few days.
so
So,
as a listing agent, the listing agent, if you put their cash on an offer situation and it's really not cash, it's still a loan. That's so that's been the question in a lot of these scenarios. So I don't know, what are you seeing, Joe Jr.? I mean,
well,
what,
if anybody that's been in this maybe longer than 5 or 10 minutes, has probably seen this, but it's, we issue a pre-approval like a regular bank, and anybody here, I'm sure, on the listing agent side has seen a pre-approval from maybe at one point or another from a private lender. But in that sense, it's very much similar to a typical mortgage. Again, the main benefit here is if you're an investor and you find a multifamily that came up and you need it kind of drop of a hat, it's much, it's much easier than a regular loan to
Right.
obtain,
For my investors, I've had pre-approvals done within a day from the Dias team.
Yeah.
Same day, I can get
Yep.
an approval.
Yeah,
However,
as
I-
fast as they get us everything they need for an application,
And we can do a very, very quick closing, like Joey says, absolutely. But then
Yeah.
again, on the advice of a good real estate attorney, I still put in that contract subject to hard money lender approval and funding. Because you
Yeah.
still have to protect your buyer.
Yep.
Right.
All right, so the loan is based off the entire borrowed amount, meaning the purchase price plus the rental budget that you come up with. So that's what the down payment is based off of, and obviously what the interest is based off of. It's typically 12 to 14%. The total amount cannot exceed the 21%, which is the usury limit in the state of Rhode Island. And the payments can be amortized over 6 to 12 months, more often 6. Now, there's no prepayment penalty. But if the borrower has to go beyond the original term agreed upon, the borrower goes beyond that amount of time, he can get an extension, but that's at the discretion of, if it's beyond the original term, that's at the discretion of the investor. Because they can, at that point, they don't want to agree to it, they can begin the foreclosure process, which I had a conversation, full disclosure, I'm kind of, I had to ask my father for clarification as far as if it's easier to get a foreclosure going if it's as easy to get a foreclosure going with a private loan as it is with, somebody like an institutional bank. And he said, in some senses, yes. So to get more clarification on that particular point, feel free to ask him, because I'm not.
Joey.
Yeah,
Are you doing deed, I do deed in lieu of foreclosure. Are you doing that as well?
yeah, yep. So,
So can you explain that a little bit? Because I understood that.
Joe, you're kind of like muffled.
All right, never mind. I'm not gonna talk on this computer.
Can you explain the deed in lieu of foreclosure?
So B, you want to chime in?
Deed in lieu is what you have them sign at the original agreement. And if the loan is for 6 months, should they fail to pay and the investor decides not to go any further with it, then the property is going to go to that investor, and anything that was put into it, any labor, any work, anything, is all going to the investor. The investor is going to be able to take that property.
B, that was one of my questions. Because, is this voice better?
Yes.
Yeah,
All right, I went onto my phone. Because my understanding was, when you do these hard money loans, and I didn't know this because I did get involved in a couple of them, which went fine, but if you do go into foreclosure and you don't have the deed in lieu, like you just mentioned, you don't get the property, you just get the proceeds from what's owed to you. You just get what's
Right.
owed to you as opposed to the
Yep.
property.
yep.
Yeah, I honestly don't know about that. I mean, I do strictly deed in lieu. I wouldn't
So that
do it the
goes-
other way.
So that goes into the loan documents?
It does.
Oh, wow, okay.
All right,
The
Now-
Dyer's team is a lot nicer than I am, though.
hey, that's how we keep the people coming back.
Yeah, Joe, one other question. What's the down payment?
10%,
10% of the renovation cost, everything.
purchase price plus renovate, whatever you're financing,
All right,
you know?
That's
Because
not bad.
an investor can elect to, like myself, I've in a couple scenarios now only borrowed the funds for the purchase price and not the rental costs, because luckily I had the money. But
Yep.
yes, 10% of the total amount. Amortize over 6 to 12 months. Okay, disbursements are paid it's the same procedure as a construction loan, if any of you have ever done those. The disbursements are paid directly to the investor in stages. So we go out, like if we're talking about a new construction house, we go out, foundations in, okay, you get a check, then, the framing's up, you get a check. Everybody got the idea, basically. So that's how, they don't just get a fat check up front because, that'd be risky. And it gets inspected by us to make sure that the project is progressing, and they're completing the work that they said they would. And it's in their best interest to get it done sooner rather than later because, they save money on the interest. Like I said, there's no prepayment penalty. So if they, finish it in 3 months rather than 6, then great, they save the money.
Joe, what are the
Right.
going rates right now?
So right now, we're doing more often than not 12% in 4 points. That's pretty much the market rate right now. Sometimes depending on the investor's experience, how long they've been with us. My dad makes an exception. Those are not my calls yet. It's all on him. But yeah,
The 2 points that the lender gets, though, does some of that go to the closing cost and stuff like that?
no,
No.
that's actually separate.
Okay.
Yep.
And the
So-
buyers, the borrower is responsible to pay all closing and attorney costs on top of that.
Yes, yep. Like I said, I'm getting far ahead of myself. I'll be lucky if I get 10 more minutes. So you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask.
One nice thing about the Dyer's team is they offer the fix-up money. There's a lot of hard money lenders throughout the state that will offer the initial loan but they don't include fix-up money. You're on your own for that.
And new construction, I forget if I already said this, but new construction alone only, you can defer the interest, you can pay the interest off in a balloon payment at the end. But just new construction. Now, in regards to new construction, the buyer has to, supply a proposal / a set of plans to us on the proposed building, whatever they're putting together. Actually, recently, we just had a guy come to us who's a developer in Mass. He's buying some beat up abandoned building and wants to turn into commercial space for growers. What else? So that kind of thing too. And prior to the closing, all approved permits have to be submitted for the land. And the borrower must have all the necessary permits from the city and state stating that it's a buildable lot in the case of new construction before they can close. So that does drag things out a bit, but in that sense, it's kind of the same as a regular, regular borrower. And the borrower must purchase the approved lot and then they will start the construction process with the 6 disbursements. The final disbursement comes with a CO. Any questions?
Joe, just, in regards to the loan itself, right?
Yeah,
I think you need to explain that it has to be done as a commercial loan, even on residential, right? So you don't get into the usury, situation. That's how I understood it when I was working with Jeff. So it's identified as a quote unquote commercial loan. B,
I've never heard that.
really?
Yeah.
yeah, I second that notion.
But
Really?
you're not breaking the usury if you're staying under the 21%.
Yeah. And again, the points plus the interest can't exceed the 21%, not just the interest, and that's what we go off of.
Was it always 21% for the usury?
Rhode Island, yeah,
I think it was higher at one time. I thought it was 24 at one time many years ago, but I don't know.
I think the federal one is 24, I want to say. But the state is 21,
Yeah.
yeah.
Joe, who does your title search and who do you recommend when a client comes to you to do your closing documents? Or do they have their own attorney or?
They can, but we defer to Joe DeAngelis.
Yeah,
And he always does a pretty good job. He draws up the loan docs and everything we need pretty much.
he does the title search to make sure there's no liens against the property and all that good stuff.
Yep, yep. If somebody comes to us, they don't have an attorney, we deflect to him. So he knows it very well. If any of you get involved in this, I would recommend him.
Have you guys ever had to do a foreclosure?
Not in the time that we've run this. So, no. To answer your question, I mean, we've had some instances where they've gone past the timeline and it becomes, it's can be lucrative for the investor in the end, but it's a pain in the ass. You gotta go through all the motions, you know what I mean? And it's not always fast.
Right.
So, yes, you get the property in the end, but it's a pain in the butt.
Right.
All the bureaucratic BS, especially in Rhode Island. Yeah, if anybody's seen that stupid legislation they're trying to pass from the progressive side with the evicting tenants right now, call your rep, tell them to oppose it, please. It's gonna make every investor's life a nightmare.
What is that all about? Do we know, B?
Yeah, they're trying to pass a bill that instead of a 5-day letter of demand, it becomes a 60-day letter of
Holy
demand.
crap.
Yeah, and the tenant, who's not paying you a damn dime, has another 60 days to respond.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so if anybody owns multis, you better dump them now. Dump them now.
There's
So
a
Gotta
you-
recipe.
Call your rep
Yeah,
first,
there-
please.
There's a recipe for foreclosures, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we're able to get foreclosures done right now, but they can't be for non-payment of rent. They can be for anything else, but not non-payment of rent.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what pays the mortgages on these friggin' properties to keep a roof over these people's heads that are renting?
Well, a
Hello?
lot of the small investors that actually live in the property and are renting the other 2 units, they're gonna be going under. We're gonna see a foreclosure market worse than we've ever seen. I think,
Is,
we're jumping right into a big foreclosure market.
is this a Rhode Island law or is this federal?
This is proposed Rhode Island law.
Wow.
Do you see the capital gains tax?
What'd it go up to?
They're trying to double it.
They're trying to put it at like 30 something, aren't they?
At 44, I thought.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think it's at 22 now, isn't it?
yeah.
they're
Well,
trying
they
to-
gotta pay for all those social programs,
Hell, yeah.
you know,
But
somewhere.
let's not get political, but you guys, you better watch all this legislation, because if it passes,
Right.
a lot of us in the world have hurt, not me. I don't have one damn multi anymore. The hell with them.
So B, somebody can be in a property for 4 months before they even respond to a letter of, a letter.
That's
a
correct.
notice.
If it passes, yes.
And
Yeah.
then if you gotta go to court, it could be another 3 months.
Oh, it could be longer than that. It depends on the judge and if they feel bad for you.
Right? If you got a couple of kids, forget it.
Yeah. And if you don't have kids, they bring kids in with them anyway.
Well,
Oh my
before we get
God.
too far off to the side, does anybody have any more questions in regards to the class? I know it was brief. I put together everything.
I do, Joe. Unfortunately, I stepped out just in the very, very beginning, and you might have already addressed this, but what is the perfect buyer for a hard money loan? Like, not perfect, but what is, I'm having a really hard time wrapping my arms around a 12% interest rate.
So that's based off the fact that it's a higher risk investment. and
Gotcha.
They can't go to a regular bank and do what they're doing with us, or naturally they would.
Okay.
So,
But the
well-
scenarios that they are not being able to go to a regular bank, did you speak to that earlier?
It could be over leveraged,
Okay,
have a bunch of loans out, especially if they're a contractor
yep,
and are doing a few things.
yep,
I would think also in this market, you could have a really great buyer, fully approved, like at 20% down or something. And it's so difficult to get a house right now that this could be an option for some buyers to do this for a month or two. Like there's no prepayment penalty, and then get the house and then refinance and pay it off.
yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, especially again, with the competition going on, you can, yes, you have to put subject to private lending application, but it's much, doesn't take 30 to 45 days or whatever.
Right? You can get it done in a couple of
What do you
weeks.
think about that? Are you
Okay.
entertaining those types of loans where a typical buyer can go in, give you guys 20%,
And
catch the highest interest rate? Now, what if they're not able to get a loan in 2 months or 3 months from a typical bank?
Right?
Have an end user in a property. Are you guys entertaining loans like that? I know we wouldn't.
well, they have to, Janine goes through, she knows better than me, or I think my father at this point, the technicalities of that. So she goes through to make sure that, and she does a damn good job of it, let me tell you, to make sure that that doesn't happen.
So
Based
we don't
off
think,
that-
so we don't think this is the kind of loan that would work for a buyer, for an actual buyer.
I mean, they could, for purposes of getting the property, it could, but they just, for for a regular buyer, like any of us would work with off the street, it's kind of, in my opinion, probably a lot to swallow.
Yeah. Well, plus you gotta pay closing costs twice now, right? So you gotta close, then you
Yeah,
gotta close again.
yeah, right. Most of the guys, we don't really have a lot of buyers coming to us like that. Most of the guys are experienced investors or, builders. that come
Joey,
to
are
us.
your flippers finding anything out there? I know mine aren't.
No, I'm not. So, I don't know. Carrie's come to us with a couple things and she's, I think, quickly realized that it's
Yeah,
not.
there's not, yeah.
Yes.
We even put an offer on land at me and a friend last week and went 20,000 over and we didn't get it.
Yeah, well, hint, hint.
Yeah.
Any land you're buying right now, you're gonna have to get off market if you want
Okay.
to try to get it at a price where you can make money. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Joe, how did you make out on you did your flip in Woonsocket, right?
It's on the market now.
How'd it
Yeah.
go? Did you get it in contract?
I deferred the showing so that Yaita can do an open house this weekend, but it's fully booked. So hopefully something comes out of that.
Good.
I might push it. I might push it out after the open house because who wants to limit the amount? I'm just deferring it to the open for her sake. I would have rather
Big.
not done it that way, honestly, because the anxiety is killing me.
Yeah, I know. It's tough to have a lot of money tied up. B,
Oh, yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
B still here?
I'm here.
Joe mentioned off-market properties. Can you talk to that a little bit? I mean, I've seen all these guys, they're all doing off-market properties. They buy them, they put them back on Facebook at actual, what they should sell for when they're finished. They say they need $20,000 worth of work when they need 100.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
Well, I'm not really sure what you're talking about with off-market properties.
He
I
means
know
properties that aren't listed, B, I feel,
Right.
right?
We
Joe?
go around, my investors as well as myself go around, we actually look for distressed properties. I mean, shoot me out the address, I'm gonna do all the homework on it. And we found a few, especially in Cranston for some reason, where the owners are actually at that stage where they're in a nursing home or they've passed away, the heirs have nothing to do with the property and don't want to do anything with it. And we've picked up a few like that.
Yeah.
I think it's up to us as the realtors to keep our investors in line. I have one investor that I love dearly. He's at my house at least once a week. And he does all his loans through the Dias team too. When he finds a property and he goes in and says, okay, it's going to cost me this, this, and this, and he comes up to $30,000 in repairs, I tack on 10 before I talk to Joe because I know him too well. And I know he's not going to put that $12 light shade in. He's going to go spend $100 on a light shade because he likes it. He does everything like he's going to move into it, and I can't break him of that. So I always tack on money to what the loan will be, and I'm always right every single time. So before it gets presented to Joe and the team, I let them know that this was his estimate, this is mine, and they've always gone by mine because they know it's going to be a little more accurate.
Even me, like when I've done my past two now, I had to talk to myself and say, you're not living here. You're not living here. Just to do,
Exactly.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
But then again, even in a down market, this particular investor I have, every single property, and I've been working with him for 20 years, every property has sold in less than 5 days.
And anybody who hasn't done a flip that wants to, Home Depot shaker cabinets, just fine.
Exactly. You have to build to the area, right, Joe?
Yep.
I mean, we did one in North Kingston in an upscale neighborhood, we had to put in a $600 chandelier. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, that was the norm for the neighborhood. But, you know, when I did North Providence not too long ago, yeah, we went to Lowe's and bought the light fixtures.
Yeah. So everything in my, everything in my house came from Home Depot. So actually, no, minus my range hood. I bought that off Amazon.
Joe,
I
so are
get it.
you working, let me ask you then. So do you have these, because I see them all the time. And do you have these people who are off-market people? Because you mentioned the term. So you must have people coming to you that are off-market people.
Have found stuff off market. Yeah, most of it right now is that because it's just, forget it. You try to find something. I can't even believe I bought the thing that I got off of MLS because if I get what I'm asking now,
Make
I
some
don't know.
money.
People were friggin' sleeping when I bought mine, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Mine had been on for almost a month. I went there, I was like,
Wow.
really? The heck?
Wow.
Why do you think
Yeah.
it was on for almost a month, Joey?
Because it was waiting for me.
It was meant to be.
Yeah. I don't know. I called, believe me, I did all my homework. I called the city hall. I was like, what's the deal with this? The only thing they said was it's on the vacant property list. You gotta bring it up to code, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, great. That's what I did. And
That's another good resource to go to the town halls and get the abandoned property list. You know, if you're looking for flips.
yeah, but then how do you buy them?
It's gonna take some homework. We did one in Providence on Canton Street. And it was actually the bank that had it. The bank had owned it for a couple of years and it was just sitting there. And we were able to get a hold of that and actually sell the property.
You
Yep.
got in touch with the bank?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep, we contacted the bank directly to their loss mitigation department, told them what the story was, said we had a buyer for this property. It's sitting there and it's getting worse day after day after day. You know, it's going to get condemned sooner or later. And then you get nothing, you know? But it took us about 3 weeks of negotiating with the bank and we finally got the property.
I mean, you can't, the thing is too, people right now are obviously aren't stupid, most of them, and they're seeing what's going on with the market. And they're just asking all the money to the
Yep.
point where there's almost no room to make any money, which is the biggest problem, you know?
Joe, what kind of return of investment are your flippers looking for at this point? A dollar amount or percentage? or
So
what?
my contractor sometimes will just buy stuff to break even, which is the other problem, because I can't compete with that. How the heck is a guy like me who's trying to make money compete with somebody who just wants to break even? Because he just wants to keep his subs happy so they're there when he needs them. So with that going on, it just adds to the shit pile that's given us the situation we have right now.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah. So I hope that was informative for you guys.
So
my,
Joe, take us through the steps though, okay? Of the first thing, especially if it's a newer agent. So they have a buyer that says, oh, I want to look at this house and I want to fix it and flip it. What are the steps they do from that point?
So they come to us with the budget made up, how much they believe the renovations are gonna cost. We have to then come out and validate that to make sure that their numbers are in line. And then they have to just quickly file an application with Janine, and she can get it done within a day as long as they submit everything they need to. And you know, within 24 hours, we can come around with a pre-approval.
Okay. And to the newer agents, I'd suggest that you also bring a CMA with you when you meet with the Dyers team?
Yes,
Because you
Well-
need to know what it's worth when it's fixed up. You know, so do your CMA, present that, do a fair CMA, and present that with your proposal.
yeah, before you come to us, just try to do some homework. You know, what the ARV is, the after repair value. So that you have an idea for yourself. The other thing is too, you kind of gotta do your homework and figure out what stuff costs, you know, because then it helps you and in turn us determine if it's worth your time / ours to do it. Because if the place needs, you know, if you're only gonna make $15,000, the point is, we need to know if you're gonna make any money. To the point just where we get our investors' money back, you know? But I mean, I can't imagine anybody would want to do a flip for $5,000.
I'll
You
flip
know
a
what I mean?
contract for that.
Well, that's a wholesale, that's like, yeah. So would I. But again, that goes back to not being able to buy them at the right price right now.
Exactly.
I would love to do that too. Matter of fact, I might do that with one of these lots.
There
Let's
you go.
go.
Sell it to Carrie. She's looking for a lot.
Well, I'll let you know if it works first. So that you don't have to waste any time.
So a good follow-up to this, Joey, would be the auction class that I'm gonna do next month. Joe Del Sesto will let you all know when. Because that's where the majority of investors or flippers buy at auction, at live auction. You know,
Yeah.
the market's depressed, live auctions, and trust me, they will be coming up in the very near future. They're happening now in different areas because they can foreclose on loans that are not government-backed loans. And I'm seeing more and more of them starting to happen. So that's where.
I would love that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Sorry
but
if
that's
anybody
where
thinks
most
I'm an
investors
a-hole for saying that, but
and flippers buy. So it'll be a good class for you all to come to. And let's do the auction class, and then that will lead you right over to Joe and his team for the hard money to purchase those properties, right, Joey?
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
B,
I'll-
Yes.
I know Mark, Almeida was on one of the calls the other day and was saying something like this market could continue like this for quite some time, multiple years. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely not. I think you'll see that anyone that has anything to do with NAR or realtors is going to say that because that's our jobs to say that. I
Yeah.
absolutely disagree. I mean,
Yeah.
what goes up is gonna burst and it's gonna burst like overnight. You know,
Right.
as soon as the
Gonna go
rental
fast.
Moratorium is lifted, as soon as the foreclosure moratorium is lifted, you watch.
Yeah,
I mean, that's my feelings anyway. I've got all my investors, I've got everybody already poised to stop buying at auctions, stop buying foreclosures. Yeah, I've had everybody strip equity and hang on to it.
yeah, especially with this forbearance thing, right? Because everybody, whoever went into forbearance, those payments are gonna come due in bulk once they come to
Yeah, very
fruition,
few
right?
of them- Very few of them added on to the end of the mortgage. There were a few banks that did do the add-on to the end of the mortgage in forbearance. However, the majority of them did not. They just,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you had a 6 or an 8 month forbearance. Now, all that money that you didn't pay is due. What are you gonna,
Right.
you haven't got it. If you had it, you would have paid it,
Right,
you know? So I forewarned her. I have a few people that I know that did a forbearance, and I told them, I said, you better take this to a lawyer and read that fine print, you know? And
right.
no, the mortgage company said this, mortgage company said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good for you. Don't come crying to me because I can't help you.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, I think it's gonna crash, Joe. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean,
I-
you and I have been doing this long enough. How many up and down markets have we seen?
Yeah, I can't see that it's gonna go 3 years like this, as somebody said, but
No,
What do
I-
they say? Every 10 years it cycles around and, I mean,
Yeah.
when you just look at too, the cost of living is already starting to go up. I mean, things are starting to cost more, gas is starting to cost more.
Right.
And it's, you know, if people are struggling, it's still gonna, you know, we had a nice cushion there for 4 years and
Yep.
right.
it's turning around.
Rates are trending up too. I think they're up to over 3 now. Last I heard.
I think so too. I think they're like 3.7 or something yesterday,
Mm. Yeah, wow.
so.
All right, well, a lot of good information, Joe. That's a good class. How many, Joe, just out of curiosity, so where do you guys stand as far as how many loans you have out and can you handle, any, you know, how much more volume can you handle? You have enough investors?
My dad just walked in. It's better suited for him. They're asking,
Where is he? Put him on the
why don't you
phone.
come here and show your face?
Show his face.
So Joey can finish eating.
Yeah. Hold on. Here's the man of the hour.
I'll ask the question again.
That's Lou Umberto.
Hi,
Joe. Joe,
Yes,
so
sir.
the question was this, so we've been talking about, you know, the hard money loans. So the question was, so how many loans do you guys have out there? And do you have the ability to handle many more, or do you have like a certain limit? Do you have enough investors? What's your current like situation?
Right now, we probably got about 16 loans out. And we got over $30 million left to lend.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
So you got,
we got a lot of investors, very wealthy investors.
good,
So we're well backed.
good, good.
It's not
Joe,
my
is-
30 million. Don't everybody think it's mine.
Yeah, it's yours. It's under your mattress. Who you
Just-
kidding?
29 of it.
Yeah.
Joe, is there a limit on the amount that you will lend on a single family?
No,
Okay,
we don't have any limit. The only thing is, you know how it works, that the ARV's gotta be there.
correct.
So we're gonna be at 70% loan to value.
Yep.
And we're doing one right now, 585.
Okay,
That's going out Monday or Tuesday.
That was a commercial property I talked about.
Yeah, that's a commercial piece up in Attleboro.
oh, nice.
Nice.
I didn't know you were doing commercial.
Yeah, we'll fund commercial as long as it's for investment purposes.
Right, of course.
You know, this here facility is they had a group of growers go there and get the 27,000 square foot building.
Mm,
And it's fully approved for a marijuana station.
nice.
Got all the approvals for the town, but the guy who's buying it's not a grower. He might lease it to one though.
He's a smoker.
He's a smoker. He's a smoker. I gotta go up there and get some smoke from him.
But Joe, that's only one town over from me.
There you
Yeah.
go. It's not far. It's a 25-minute ride here. It's not far at all,
Good.
you know?
All right, I think Joey gave us everything we need.
You all set? How did Joey do? All right?
He did a
Good.
great class. He did a wonderful class. You should be
Very
proud of
good.
him.
Good job.
And I see Kerry's on there. Good girl. Velma, good girl.
And Joe, we're gonna get you in for a class next month too. So Joe will be teaching something. We don't know yet what.
I'm gonna be teaching the listing class next month, but I'm gonna be doing it on site.
Oh, good. All right.
All right?
We're all doing everything on site next month, Joseph Del Sesto.
Yep. That sounds
Yeah,
good to
I'm
me.
I'm tired of these here Zooms.
Yeah, I am too. I think everybody is.
Yeah.
All right.
All
All
righty.
right, thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
See you later.
Take care. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.